No. Ain't no way. Ain't no way there's a possibility that Concord might actually come back. I
Loud,
say
yeah. Speed is
possibility
loud.
because the developments that indicate this might be a possibility haven't been 100% confirmed, but there's
Yeah, I
just
heard it. I heard it's returning
enough
as a like, possibly free to play.
activity behind the scenes where the possibility is
I
there.
mean, they're just not gonna let all that IP go to waste. They're gonna try to make a return. They're gonna try to make money off of it for sure. They can't just spend all that money for nothing.
And I think if
I think they need to rebrand the game, have the same core mechanics of the game, right? Rebrand it, new character models, like revamp the entire look of the game, call it something else. They can call it Concord, but I think you should call it something else, and then release it as something different. People are gonna know what it is, but that's the only way to revive it. If you keep calling it Concord, no one's gonna play it.
this does end up happening, if Concord somehow ends up coming back, it's not going to fare any better. I think they need to move on from this, Sony and folks. This is an unmitigated disaster. So to give you further context, right here,
completely.
we have a report from Insider Gaming who first noticed this. If you go to SteamDB right now and look up the activity surrounding Concord updates, there's actually been some stuff going on there. Concord continues to get updates on Steam, reads this article, and there's some screenshots.
Yeah, I heard they had I heard they're like big updates too. Actually, like they're not just little patches or nothing. They're
You're
like big updates.
highlighting.
So like they're definitely gonna revamp. Like they're definitely changing big things about the game, but I don't think they're gonna change the stuff that's correct. Obviously, they're gonna fuck this up.
That users such as PM Test, Sony QAE Shipping, and Sony QAE are updating the game and have been doing so since October 6th. Since October 6th, the game has seen 20 updates on Steam by all of these various users, and the screenshots highlight this. And beyond that, if you actually go to SteamDB and look at it yourself, scrolling down, you can see all of this activity that has been going on over the last few days from Sony QAE Shipping, from PM Test, from Sony QAE, which might suggest that Sony are not giving up on this game, or at the very least intend to release it in some other.
They spent way too much money for them to want to give up. They're gonna keep trying too. I'm telling you, this is a whole new rebrand.
Their form.
Release it next year as a whole new rebrand. Just cut your losses for a year. Release it next year as a whole nother game. They say this is what we've been cooking up behind the scenes. We haven't told anybody, even though I've seen all the updates and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like they just need to do something.
With the rumor right now being that they're planning to go free to play with Concord and find a way to kind of try to bring more players to this game. One of the initial things.
I mean, honestly, I might live stream and play this game if it's free to play. I might just do that just to see. But I'm only gonna do it on stream. You know.
Things about this title that really,
like, I'm definitely gonna farm this content. They fucking release it.
Screwed it over was its $40 price tag, and the fact that while the game was by no means like awful to play or anything, it wasn't this terrible experience. It just didn't do enough to stand out from other hero shooters, and then the content offering was just nowhere near enough.
Why play Concord when you can play fucking Overwatch? That's how I feel. Or like Flintlock, whatever the fuck that game, Deadlock. If you like Deadlock and Overwatch, you can just play those if you want to play hero shooter. Like Apex Legends is fucked. That's not really a hero shooter. That's more like that's a battle royale. But you know what I mean? Like you can play these other games that are just better than that. Like why would you play a different one, like a different version of that game? It makes no sense.
Enough for people to feel like even at $40, it was worth that price tag. And so the general sentiment out there is that maybe they plan to go free to play and essentially implement more monetization systems. That way the game is accessible. Anyone can go in and play. Their hope is that the monetization systems that they implement will be enough to like fund the game so that this does not become just a huge money sink, because it literally made no money. They actually refunded everything, as you can see right here from the PlayStation blog post announcing the shutdown of Concord, which shut down just 2 weeks after the game's launch. Concord sales will cease immediately. We'll begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. No questions asked. Literally, this game made $0. But
Horrible.
one other thing to note about this blog post is that they did put out the possibility that they might explore options, including those that will better reach our players. Now, I personally didn't take that bit particularly seriously because it just felt like such a far-fetched thing to happen for such a major disaster to see any kind of comeback. It is, I think, the worst live service AAA launch I've ever seen, period. And for them to try to invest further into this just seemed like a really terrible idea, or one that wouldn't really bear enough fruit for that kind of risk to be worth taking. But if this activity is anything to go by, if there is a possibility that Concord will come back, it is important to note what Sony is risking here.
Oh man, this is crazy. The one person who didn't refund it.
First of all, when the game did launch,
There's always got to be one.
at the price tag of $40, these are the results that we saw. The game peaked at almost 700 players, and then it was just downhill
So
from there.
good.
Even launching at low 5
How does only 700 people buy the game? Like, I don't know if it was like people who make content just dragging that game, but like they need to realize that like you need to pay off these motherfucking streamers and get them to fucking play these games on stream. Pay them lots of money. If they want the games to blow up, you got to get streamers to play. Like, it's crazy. Like, my buddy was telling me, he's like, streamers doesn't matter. A game's not dead if streamers don't play it. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But, like, your game's gonna, like, not be as big if there's not streamers promoting it and playing it. Like, these kids love watching streamers play these games. If no one's fucking streaming it, then, like, people are like, oh, the games must be dead. Especially if their favorite streamers are like, oh, this is broken about the game. This part of the game sucks. Like, yeah, of course they're not gonna fucking play that shit, man. Like, they're gonna be talking shit about the game.
digit numbers, all-time peak concurrent players, spells danger for a major AAA live service launch. The fact that this launched at all-time peaks of 3-digit numbers, that was, I mean, an immediate nail to the coffin. But then worth noting is that even if the game goes free to play, we have seen a sample of what happens when Concord goes free to play, because its beta, as you can see right here, was free to play. And even then, when the game was freely accessible, it only saw all-time peak concurrent player numbers of 2,388.
Oh, so it went free to play. When did this happen? Oh, it went free to play before they took it down. So it only jumped up 2,000. Yeah, because it's free. So like, it doesn't hurt to try it out because it's free, you know. But that's still not a lot of fucking people.
Players. That is still not encroaching low 5-digit numbers, which already spells danger for a game like this. This is still 4-digit numbers for what was temporarily a free-to-play live service experience. So if Sony were to explore other options,
Yeah, 5-digit numbers does spell bad for a game. Like, even if it's like, I think you get below 70,000 and your game is dying. Your game's dead almost. Like, I don't care. I know people are like 70,000 is still low. It's not a dead game. And like, it's a dead game. You want at least over 100, 200,000 people playing. You know what I'm saying, at all times. And like, low points maybe 100,000 at very low points, but like, you don't want to get below 100,000, to be honest. Like, not at all.
and release Concord as a
It's just because
free live.
It's like, and if you think about it, it's just because like nobody's gonna like play a game that nobody else is playing, because it's like it means nothing to them. Like, why be good at this game that only 5,000, 10,000 people are playing? Like, there's no competition. Like, it's not worth their time. They'd rather play a game that everybody else is playing because their friends are playing those games too. And they're like, if they're good at those games, then it makes them look good with their friends, and there's like actual achievements that mean something to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, people play games just give themselves a certain type of purpose sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Especially in their friend groups. You know, like, a lot of people use these things to kill time. Now, there's games I play that barely anybody plays, like No Man's Sky. That doesn't have a lot of player count. You know what I'm saying? But I play that shit off stream. You know what I mean? And like, there's more of like my own personal time when I play that game. But I'm not like looking towards that game to be like, oh, you know, show off to my friends. Oh, look what I got. Look what I did. You know what I'm saying? It's more just like, I like it. I enjoy it, and it's fun. You know.
Live service. I do not know how they expect the game to perform any better, or perform at an adequate enough level of engagement where it can make any sort of money back. Like, bringing this game back online would be a huge waste of time, money, and resources. So
Yeah,
I hope that the recent activity
I
on
agree.
Steam is not indication of Concord coming back, because it would just be such a stupid move unless the plans for overhauling the game are so substantial that it basically feels like
Like new character models. They just need to fucking thirst trap these boys. Put fucking anime waifus in there. I don't care. Like they need to do something instead of putting these LGBTQ characters in there because it's not working. It never works.
a new
Nobody wants to play as a fucking chubby fat guy or a fucking ugly dyke. Nobody wants to.
game launch when it does relaunch, if it does relaunch, a la, like a Realm Reborn. If this is Concord, a Realm Reborn, or a Galaxy Reborn, and the overhauling feels so substantial that it makes headlines and makes waves across the internet and it actually catches people's attentions, then maybe there's a chance. But then that is a huge investment for an IP that has a lot of negative optics behind it, that people are already kind of looking at with squinted eyes and not particularly optimistic about. And it's an IP that's brand new with a bad impression behind it. So, I mean, to say that it has a steep hill to climb would be an understatement. This is a cliff it has to rock climb. We're talking about a major PlayStation first-party AAA launch that garnered so little interest that it is estimated to have sold only 25,000 units across the board. So it made roughly $1 million, which then
Like the crazy part is that they thought that this was gonna be their Star Wars. They thought that that was gonna be their Star Wars, their Super Mario, their Mickey Mouse. That's what they said. I don't know why they don't just like fucking take. I don't know what the fuck. Like, yeah, it's sad to see Sony do this to themselves.
had to give back because the game shut down 2 weeks after launch. And it is rumored that this game cost roughly $400 million to make across its numerous years of development. Do keep in mind that there are skepticisms surrounding this information. Journalists like Ethan Gatch have said that they've personally not been able to confirm the $400 million budget. Others have said that $400 million is just a ridiculous figure to report and that they don't believe this information is accurate. But Colin Moriarty has doubled down recently in another episode of his Last Stand Media podcast, saying that he is very...
It depends on how much money they plan on making. Like Apex Legends made, I think, 3.2 billion or something like that over the lifespan of the game, which is a lot of fucking money. You know what I mean? And like they hardly do anything to fix any of the problems. So like they were probably expecting sales and then make it a live service to where people play it, you know, for like the next 6 years and make like $1 billion. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did spend $400 million on it, to be honest, if they were like looking for that long shot investment.
very confident that his source is credible and argues that the $400 million...
But $500 million is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
dollar budget is not as far-fetched as you might think. He highlights how his source confirmed things like a leaked script for the next Tomb Raider game that's in development, which was confirmed to be a real leak.
I haven't
when
played a Tomb Raider game since PlayStation 1, to be honest. I feel like that would be fun to play a Tomb Raider game.
the leak got DMCA'd by Square Enix, that's a surefire way to confirm that a leak is true.
If they make Lara Croft hot, that would only make it worth it.
Colin went as far as criticizing anyone who like scoffed at the notion of a $400 million budget for Concord. He pointed out that they could have verified that information with their own sources. So Colin seems very confident that this $400 million budget is a real figure. I cannot speak to that. I don't have the insider information to say one way or the other. But if this information is true, that's literally $400 million down the toilet that made $0. And maybe this is such a huge money sink that Sony desperately wants to make some money back and want to attempt a free-to-play format with probably a lot of microtransactions infused in there to get people to spend and to have some kind of income for a game that is just a huge crater in Sony's bank account. But with all that said, do keep in mind that there's no official confirmation on Concord actually coming back. Sony and PlayStation haven't said anything, and yes, there's activity still going on for a game that's shut down, which might indicate potential possibilities of a revive for this game. but it is not 100% confirmation. But it is still worth noting. It is activity that is still worth highlighting and might potentially be hints of what was indicated in the blog post about exploring options, including those that will better reach our players. But yeah, I personally don't really see a future for Concord. I don't see it working in any way, shape, or form. I just, unless they reinvent the game into something that stands out from other live services like it, it's going to be history repeating itself. It's going to be this right here,
Yeah.
this free-to-play beta's stats all over again is what it feels like. But I suppose only time will tell. Maybe, you know, the devs, assuming that there is actual activity going on with Concord that will result in a re-release, maybe they'll make a miracle happen, but it really, I think, will take a miracle if they intend to try to make a comeback.
Yeah.
But that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the Steam
crazy.
activity that's going on with Concord, or what that indicates for Concord's future, whether you think that this game will actually come back, and whether you think there's any sort of path for Concord to make a Realm Reborn style comeback, and what you think this game needs to do for such a comeback to happen. Share your thoughts
They need a whole new rebranding. That's what I think, and all new character models.
in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.